year, we had a 6.75% increase in our health insurance premium. And with that in mind, we currently are working with Cox Health, and with that, we have a cap on our contract that our increase in our premiums cannot go any higher than 7% every year. And you might think, well, that's awfully high, but unfortunately, there are some districts who experience a much larger increase than that. So having a ceiling on that really protects not only us, but all of the school districts that are in the MAS consortium. Now, we had an increase in our health insurance premium because they look at all of our usability, they look at all of our claims across the consortium. They look at the number of claims, the cost of the claims. They have a pharmaceutical part of that, and they put all that into a formula, and Cox then will propose a health insurance increase to the consortium. This year, however, because of the sheer number of policies that were being offered across the consortium, the consortium decided to restructure our plans. So that had a positive impact in terms of keeping our premium down, but it did increase our deductible on the base plan. So this past year on our base plan, if you look down in the bottom portion of this document that I handed out over on the left side in red, that's our current base plan. It's a $2,000 deductible, and the cost for the employee is $117, and the board contribution per employee per month is $453 per employee. So out of the premium is $570 per month. Out of $570, the board pays $453 per month of that cost, and that's for a $2,000 base plan. We also have a $1,500 base plan, and the employee pays $148. The board still pays $453 per month per employee on that plan. That's going to be changing next year, and the base plan will now go from a $2,000 deductible to a $2,500 deductible, and checking with area school districts, that is very consistent with what most base health insurance plans have, is a $2,500 deductible. That will allow us to keep our premium pretty much where it is right now. Right now, it's $570 per month for the $2,000 deductible. Next year, it'll be $571 per month. The board will increase their contribution $1, and employees will keep their contribution at $117 per month. So the employees will not have to contribute any more for the base plan, but the deductible will go from $2,000 to $2,500 for the upcoming year. But our employees also have the option of, they can also enroll in a $3,500 deductible, which is a higher deductible plan. If employees feel like they don't need that much coverage, that will save them some premium by doing that. If on the other hand, they want a low deductible plan, we have that offering too at $1,500. The board's contribution will still stay at $454 per month, and the employee will have to pick up the difference in the cost of that plan. Obviously, a $1,500 deductible plan is more expensive than the base plan, but it gives our employees an option between the base plan or a higher deductible or a lower deductible. But the bottom line is, even with the 6.75% increase, we were able to keep that premium flat by increasing the deductible on the plan. So essentially, everybody's going to take the risk of whether or not they're going to end up using it or not using it. Is what it amounts to. And so that's kind of the insurance proposal for next year. It's pretty much approved by MASC. I'll still need the board to approve that this evening as part of the salary and benefits package. But there's really not a lot that we can do since we're a member of the MASC consortium. So any questions about the health insurance?
You may have told us the last meeting, did the maximum out of pocket change too
Yes, it did. It went from 2,000 to 3,000
on both these?
on the base plan.
On the base plan.
Let's see if it has that on here.
Yeah.
Let's see, let me see
Are
that.
you
No,
talking about
let me
out-of-pocket?
change that. Yeah, let me change that. On option 5, it went from 5,000 to 6,000. On the $3,500 plan, also went from 5,000 to 6,000, and from the $1,500 plan, it went from 4,000 to 5,000. So the max amount of pocket on each plan also increased $1,000.
Very good.
Any questions about the health insurance at all?
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Gonna go over 21, 22 salary and benefits.
Okay, for the upcoming fiscal year, 2021-22, I'm proposing a 3% salary increase for all, a 3% salary increase for all certified and classified staff. If you recall, last year, we did not put an increase to the base. So all they had last year, staff, is if they were able to advance on the salary schedule, then they were able to receive advancement. And, I mean, given what is going on with COVID, the economy shut down, all the things from the governor in terms of withdrawal and cutting back state funding, y'all remember the situation that we all faced at that time. This year, I propose that we try to give more than what we've given in the past. All right, typically, we're giving anywhere from 1.5% to 2% raise on the salary, on the base. This year, I'm proposing a 3% increase to the base. Again, that's to the base. Again, the fact that we didn't have salary increases last year, we did save some utility costs with all the LED changes and the lighting. We're not increasing the board contribution except for $1 per month. We are receiving additional CARES and ESSER funds, but all that will do is help us kind of relieve the budget. We can't use that for salary necessarily, because it's not sustainable, and when ESSER comes, it goes. I mean, unless they're gonna keep giving it to us every year for the next 10 years, it's not gonna work. And our unrestricted reserve balance is up to 24.51%. So all those are reasons to be able to go ahead and move forward with the 3% salary increase. What the 3% salary increase would do on the certified schedule, it would increase the base $971 from $32,377 to $33,348. And I put a copy of the newly proposed salary schedule up, and that's the same one that you're looking at as well. And so then my recommendation to the board would be that we approve a 3% increase to the base for certified and classified staff, in addition to approving the health insurance as presented to you previously.
Okay. Any questions on that? Very good. Thank you. You want to talk about non-resident tuition rates?
Yes, our current non-resident tuition rate is sitting at $7,000, and the board changed this back in 2019. Up until that time, our non-resident tuition rate stayed at $6,000 per student attending from who was a non-resident of our school district. Typically, we're referring to those students who decide to attend high school in Willow Springs, coming from one of the K-8 districts. They still reside in one of the K-8 districts, and so that's how much we charge that K-8 district. That K-8 district pays that tuition, all right? The parents do not pay the tuition. They do indirectly in the form of taxes to that K-8 district. You probably have heard recently a lot of conversation about an area school district raising their tuition rate very, very high, and they plan on doing that consecutively over the next 3 or 4 years. Visit with numerous K-8 superintendents that are really concerned about that. I can understand why. That being the case, I still believe that we need to try to keep ours flat at $7,000. This year, we received close to 30 students coming to us from K-8 districts. The lion's share of those came from Richards. We did have a few come from Junction Hill, a few come from Fairview. Most of them came from Richards. But I would like to, for another fiscal year, go ahead and keep that at $7,000 and reevaluate it next year at this time and see if we need to kind of look at adjusting it at that time.
Do you know how that compares with any of the other surrounding
The
districts?
K-8, the other districts that I just visited with one superintendent, just had a meeting last week, and this was at Bakersfield. And she indicated to me that the other districts that draw kids from the K-8s, Bakersfield, Dora, Kosh, they're all kind of pretty consecutive, right around 6,600. You know, so they were even talking about maybe raising theirs to match where we are, so that all the area districts around are at $7,000, but which would be considerably lower than the West Plains School District, and the plans for the West Plains School District moving forward. So,
You gave us some idea of what it actually costs us. And what was that number?
when I went through and I tabulated the formula used by the state, and we plug in all of our expenditures for the past fiscal year, as well as our weighted ADA from the past fiscal year, the actual cost based on that formula was right at $8,400 per student. $8,400 per student. That also takes into account capital cost as well. You know, and that being the case, I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't choose those, but irrespective of students from area districts coming to our district to be educated, we're still gonna have to have a roof on our buildings.
Do you have any idea what that number would be without capital improvements?
I would have to figure that.
I'd be
It
curious.
would be
to know
lower than
if
that. If I can see if I can find that for you, sure.
Capital improvements are part of the cost of operating
It
the
is.
school.
No, it is.
I mean, you gotta share it amongst
Well,
everybody, right?
Yeah, and I know, but at the same time.
Can't say we don't have to have a building for those
Yeah.
guys.
Right.
We still gotta have a building.
Right, come on, I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
Okay?
Any questions on that?
Bill, would you-
Very good. Comments from our guests. We've had the Hoffs, is that right?
Halves.
Have requested to come and visit with us tonight. We feel free to stand, sit, just whatever makes you comfortable. And,
Howdy all. My name's Michael Half. Thanks for meeting with me. Some of you may know me. You were my principals in high school and middle school. I went to school with some of you. So here I'm today to talk about non-seated virtual students. My daughter partakes in that. And what I'd like to think about is a school allowing those students to participate in school activities and sports. I think that's something that can benefit everybody, you know, especially those students who partake in it. And what I really mean is, and it's been brought to my attention, you know, kind of, the, you know, versus seated student, non-seated students, but your virtual students are just your same students. She gets, the school counselor talks with her and goes over her courses for the next year. I mean, we've already met this year and decided next year. She's included in the school yearbook. She also has a school email address, for goodness sakes, you know? So, in a lot of ways, she's like your seated students, just she's not there sitting right next to everyone. You know, in Launch, that's what she's taking. It's taught by certified Missouri teachers, just like all you are, you know? So, she's learning from teachers just like yourself and yourselves. So she's taken all the similar classes. For example, this week, she's going to be taking the Algebra EOC. Actually, I think that's Thursday, is it?
Yes.
Thursday. And she's going to be taking that. She's a dedicated student. She gets A's in her classes. I mean, it's not easy for her. I mean, not for any student probably. I mean, she puts a lot of personal time into it. You know, upwards of 10 hours a day, including weekends. Launch classes are just as hard as the classes in in school for the seated students. She also is working on, has been working on class projects, and she's done really well. Some of her teachers have been so happy with her. They've asked her if they can even utilize those, for examples, to further other students. You know, and I know it can be asked, why are we doing Launch, you know, and versus being, here? And that's a good question. But we feel like she can get just as good education from certified Missouri teachers as she can for coming here. Another big reason, I don't want her to have to ride the school bus for 2 hours a day. I live out there past the Rock Quarry on AM. I rode the school bus because I lived a mile even closer to town than the school bus than I am now. And I had to get up on the bus before, I think 6:55 I got on. And I didn't get off until 4 o'clock, you know, so it's a long time to ride the school bus. You know, another thing more personal to me is I was bullied in school. It was not a fun experience. The worst part of it was my very last day of high school, I gave my valedictorian speech, walked around behind the new gym, and there was a group of seated students and students that were no longer in school. They're antagonizing me, trying to get a fight with me. Just not a good experience. I mean, there was no one else around me I could turn to. My very last day. I'm not saying that things are always the same, but these are things that weigh on a parent's heart. And I think that virtual students are going to be, you know, it's coming. And as a school district, you know, you guys, I know, want to be there to help every student in your school district. Virtual, seated, and even homeschoolers. This is just an opportunity to allow her to kind of partake in the activities that the rest of the students can. And she is a student of Willow Springs High School. I just want her to achieve academically and scholastically if she can. And I know she's demonstrated an interest in wanting to do that. But remember, I'm not here to talk about homeschoolers. I'm really here just to talk about the non-seated, you know, virtual students of Willow Springs. And I just want you guys to just think about it and, you know, see what, you know, and try to weigh it. You know, it's, as being a non-seated student, she's doing everything the rest of the students are doing. She's partaking in the same classes, taking the same tests. So really, I just ask you guys to consider that for a bit. So, thank you.
All right. We will, we'll take that under advisement. We will, you know, it's not something that we can just make a decision on all of a
Oh, I
sudden, right?
understand completely.
We'll have, at one of our maybe in our May board meeting, we can look over that policy.
Sure.
And have a discussion on whether or not that's a policy that we would like to change.
I'm sorry, I missed the specific ask. So what specific, I mean, you referred to what she's doing. I'm not
Sorry,
sure what you're
I
asking.
just want her to be able to participate in school activities and sports, you know?
Extracurricular activities.
Correct.
Okay.
Extracurricular and co-curricular, correct? Band, vocal
Oh,
music.
yes, sorry, I apologize.
That's all right, I just
May
want to
not
be
know
clear
the,
that,
you know, terms, so,
okay, extracurricular and co-curricular. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
thank you.
Very good. Any other comments tonight? All right. Items for action. We're presented with a new salary and benefit schedule. I would receive a motion to approve that as presented.
So moved.
By Dean, and a second.
I'll
By
second.
Adam. Any discussion?
Do we need to include the health insurance, is that part of that?
Yes, that's well, part of the motion, and
Okay.
would include that and health
That's fine.
insurance. Correct.
If no discussion, I'd receive a vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Very well. It's been proposed we leave our non-resident tuition rate at $7,000 for fiscal year '22. Receive a motion to approve as presented.
We'll move.
Holly, and a second.
Second.
John. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Very well. You have anything else for open session tonight? I receive a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
By Dean, and a second.
Second.
By Adam, do that by roll call.
Aye.
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 And aye. Very good. I'm gonna call a 5-minute break, give the people time to clean out from the boardroom, and we'll proceed from there in 5 minutes. Thank you all for coming. We need Bob this day.